Hong Kong, the international trading port. It's one of the world's main financial and business hubs. They are modern high-rise buildings, tourist attractions, and popular shopping areas. This is the Hong Kong that many people know. But today we'll show you another side of Hong Kong. It's a site that no one wants to reveal or even see. A bedspace apartment, also called cage home, coffin cubicle, or coffin home, is a type of residence that is only large enough for one bunk bed surrounded by a metal cage. Hong Kong is among the world's most prosperous countries, but it's also a tiny coastal area that's struggling to cope with the influx of people who want to relocate to this economic superpower. It's more expensive to live in Hong Kong than anywhere in the world. Hong Kong has been ranked the least affordable housing market in the world 8 years in a row, and by a long shot. Housing prices are now almost 20 times more than annual income. That means that a household making $50,000 USD would on average be looking for a house that costs $980,000 USD. And it's getting really bad. Hong Kong has a population of over 7 million people, which is less than New York or London, but it is the 8th most densely populated city in the world, with 68,400 people per square mile, according to the World Population Review, and known for its overcrowded tiny homes and housing crisis. Government data from 2021 showed that around 215,700 people, or approximately 3% of the population, lived in 108,200 subdivided unit houses, also known as cage homes. The apartments are usually bigger units divided up into such small areas that those living in them can't even stretch out their legs fully. These claustrophobic cubicles tend to cost renters a few $100s a month. The housing has even less privacy, as people find themselves living in hostel-like residences, sleeping in bunk beds and rooms with other people. The housing crisis is a physical indication of the wealth gap in the city, and it has caused a significant amount of tension in the city between the poorer parts of society. Hundreds of thousands of residents now squeeze into incredibly small apartments, most of them no bigger than a parking space. And yet the price per square foot for these smaller houses just keeps shooting up. Living in a cage house is like living in a prison. There's no privacy, no dignity. They are treated like animals. Many cage house residents are low-income individuals who can't afford traditional housing. With skyrocketing property prices and limited affordable housing options, they're left with no choice but to endure these deplorable conditions. Government land use data says that 75% of the land in Hong Kong is not developed. Now, some of that is mountainous and rocky and not easy to build on, but certainly not all of it. But some people say the problem isn't the shortage of land. The problem is bad land management. In Hong Kong, the government owns all the land and it leases it out to developers, usually for 50 years in an auction process where the highest bidder gets the contract. With such scarce and valuable land zoned for housing, real estate companies, more and more of them coming from mainland China with lots of money, will duke it out in these auctions and will end up at an astronomically high price. Although Hong Kong's GDP continues to grow, the gap between the wealthy and the poor has also increased. Hong Kong is one of the world's most economically unequal cities. It is also one of the world's most expensive cities in which to live and has the world's most expensive real estate. Hong Kong has around 20% of the poor living below the poverty line, or about 1.2 million people. At least 170,000 Hong Kong people live in houses like this. The Hong Kong government has faced criticism for its handling of the housing crisis, with activists accusing officials of neglecting the needs of the city's most vulnerable residents. The government is slowly working on this problem. Year after year, new policies come in that are meant to fix this, and government policy and zoning reform that will free up more land and put the interests of the people above the interests of the market. But until the government can make that happen, people in Hong Kong will continue to squeeze into smaller and smaller spaces.